There's the family. This is my mom, my dad, and my sister.
And the dog.
And the dog. Alright. So, this is my speech on Persian New Year. So, imagine the setting. It's your first day of spring in March, and you're surrounded by family, celebrating with various types of music, various types of food. The music is blasting, and the new year has begun. Your grandma is asking about all the life plans you have in store and invites you to dance. Your younger cousins are running around, stuffing their faces with the food your aunt has been preparing for hours to the guest's arrival. After all the traditions have been celebrated, the countdown finally begins, and everyone's hugging and celebrating. It's filled with so much love and joy, everything just feels right. It's Nowruz, the Persian New Year. In Iran, Nowruz celebrates the beginning of the new year filled with food, family gatherings, and well-being to welcome the new year. Now mentioned by the NPR, signifying the meaning of Nowruz represents, and quote, new life, which is casting away bad energies and negativity for bringing of a fresh start to a new chapter in life. Now, in order to understand the meaning of Nowruz, I shall explain the rich culture and the celebrations of Nowruz that carry heavy history and traditions for generations. Now, to start off with, we have to mention the origin of Nowruz, which is Iran. Where its location is, as Iran is one of the oldest nations in the world and dating back to centuries, which has now become modernized with the help of technological advances and society progressing on. Its location is situated between areas around Central and South Asia with direct access to the Persian Gulf. And many of its people and food are heavily related towards its origin, with the people of Iran being so welcoming and warming, being very open to visitors exploring their culture, and they pride themselves with their generosity and hospitality, which makes them very noble people. Now, the food is just as exceptional as its people. Through the various spices, meats, and grains harvested and served, their diet is rich in vitamins and protein, which dates back to generations of agriculture. Now that we understand its origin and where its location comes from, now we have to explore its history of Nowruz and its new year. So its origin, and while its history is not entirely clear, it comes from Zoroastrianism of the Persian religion, particularly around the Parthian times when Persia was the common name for Iran. And for others, various stories mention the celebration of transitioning from a hunter-gatherer lifestyle to an animal husbandry lifestyle, celebrating the advancements of the Persian people. Its date is celebrated with the fall equinox and where the spring equinox begins. However, in the Persian calendar, the first month begins as March, and its official date for Persian New Year is celebrated on the first day of spring, March 21st. Now, by focusing on the rich history of Nowruz, what is the New Year like today? What are its traditions? So, with many of its traditions and rituals, one in particular is jumping over a fire pit, which becomes a ritual in burning away any negativity, bringing forth into the new year and making the start of a new one. You're almost rebirthing when you're jumping over the pit of fire. And rituals are not the only thing mentioned in traditions, but also when having a table placement of several symbolic items in Persian culture. And many of these are represented by the 7 S's. And these are a few to mention. Here is an egg. The egg represents fertility and growth of the family. And what I also have here is the goldfish, which celebrates life and movement. And finally, the apple represents the symbol of beauty in Iran. And throughout celebrating Nowruz with my family, many of these offerings are placed on the table as a symbolic offering of new aspects and new life. In summary, Nowruz is a beautiful holiday filled with joy and new beginnings to end the passing of an old year into a new one. And throughout the rituals, tradition, and representation of the new year causes for the rich history of the Persian New Year, the celebration of new foods, spices, fresh beginnings, and more to extinguish the bad energy from the past year and bring in the new year with new joy and light with the surroundings of family and friends.